the ninth page of the printouts, page Chaf Zayin, I believe. And now we're finally going to conclude what we started talking about, the mema'makim and the different levels of depths. After we were speaking earlier concerning how Yidden are mushrish all the way in Hashem's very essence, and because of their hashrosha and them being rooted in Hashem's very essence, therefore they are able to draw down not just the Ratzon Hagoli, not just the revealed will that is, and that causes afterwards the Melucha B'Poyel. Not only the Heskim do they decide that when Hashem saw the Maseim Shel Tzadikim, when Hashem saw what the Tzadikim would do, so then he had a delight from that, and that delight caused him to agree within himself and say, it would be a nice thing to be a king. But even more so, because of Yidden's Shoydish and Hashem's very essence, that's why there is a Ratzon HaMuchlet. The Ratzon HaMuchlet is not like the Hechlet that we spoke about before, but there is an essential will. There's an essential connection with the entire idea of Melucha that enables us eventually down the line to be the ones to cause by the Eibishter a Ratzon Limloich, even though we seem to be so far, we're an from the word Gecholim Oimimais. So really, essentially, it has to go through all these different levels. Yidden affect the Ratzon HaMuchlat, then they affect the Heskim, Hechlet, and then they affect the Ratzon HaGoli until it comes down to Melucha in actuality. Based on this, we could explain the idea of Shir HaMailos Mema'makim that he said. That there's Mema'makim, there is Maimak, which is deeper than Oimek. There's plural Ma'amakim. So we're holding again on the ninth page, Oy Zayin, line 18. This is where it says from the depth. I've called out Havaya Mamak Davke V'loy Oimek. He uses specifically the word Mamak and not Oimek. It doesn't say Mi Oimek or Mi Oimkim Krasicha Havaya, but Maimak. Zeh Gufa Mamakim Lashon Rabim. And not only one mamak, which is deeper than oimek, but mamakim in the plural. Oimek, that is the light after the tzimtzum. Shesham yeshna inyan hamalucha apoyel. After the tzimtzum, there is the actual reigning over people. So that itself already is a very high oir. Just like a king is very high, removed, and menusa, misnasa, and exalted over the populace. So you have the level of oimek. Oimek alone, not mamuk. That is the after the coronation effect. We said earlier that even though during the coronation we evoke by the king the Ratzon HaGolui, the revealed will to reign, but the actual reigning, the actual giving out decrees and laws, etc., that occurs once the party is over, once the coronation is over. So the same thing over here, the Melucha B'Poyel, that is after the Tzimtzum, that is after the Hachtara, that is a level that is lower in depth, and therefore it's only Oimek, not Mamak, not Oimek Lefnim Oimek. Then afterwards, line 22, Mamok Shu Oimek La Oimek, the word Mamok, which means that it's a depth to a regular depth. In other words, higher than Melucha Apoyel, higher than the Tzimtzum, who B'chinas HaOrshel, if not Tzimtzum, it's the light that's prior to the Tzimtzum, Shesham L'Shayach Inyan Melucha Apoyel over there. The idea of an actual reigning and actually giving out decrees does not apply, just like we said during the coronation. The king is not yet giving out decrees. Prior to the coronation or during the coronation, he's still not reigning yet. El Arak, the only thing that takes place over there before the Tzimtzum is Ratzon L'Mlucha, the will that he wants to be a king, thanks to the the Hachtorah. After we explained that the Oir Shalifnei Tzimtzum, the revealed will to be a king, is the level of Mamak, but in that itself there is Mamakim in the plural. Because in the level of the Oir that's prior to the Tzimtzum itself, we're talking here about the revealed light. In other words, in the revealed light before the Tzimtzum, not in Hashem's very essence. There's in general two levels. There's a level of Hashem like revealing the light for himself, and Hashem revealing a light that will eventually, it's brought down in Baruch Chassidus, come out to another. Chassidus brings a mashal, for example, you could have a Rav, and he's learning a certain topic, a certain sugya. You have a guy and he's learning a very deep idea in Gemara, etc. So you could have the part of the idea that's only for internal consumption. It's not ready or it's not able to be shared. And then there are aspects of the idea where, though he's still thinking about it himself, it is a revelation within himself that can eventually come out and be shared with someone else. The same thing in the Oir Shalifnei Tzimtzum, there is a revelation of Gilui, which is to Hashem himself, Kaviyachol, and is not even applicable to ever becoming revealed. From that, Chassidus explains, eventually becomes the Oir of Soviv Kolalmin after the Tzimtzum. And then there is a level of Oir in the Lifnei Tzimtzum, which eventually, from that, after the Tzimtzum, will come out a revelation that people can internalize. It'll be the Kav, it'll be the Malaklam, and so on. So these two levels prior to the Tzimtzum, Shehem HaBechinis, line 28, these are the two levels that we spoke about earlier in the Maimer, the higher level being the Machshava V'Ratzon, a thought and will, meaning it's not an open will that he wants to actually reign, but it's just that thought, being a king makes sense. And then the level that's considered the Gilu Lizulasoi, the level within himself, that's a revelation to someone else, that is V'Ratzon Hagoli, that's the revealed will. So you have these two levels of will that we spoke about, the Ratzon Hagoli, the actual active desire to be a king, that is called the Gilu Lizulasoi level of the Oir Shalifnei Tzimtzum, and the level where just like by himself he decides, being a king would be nice. Why? Because like we said, he sees he sees the delight he was going to receive from what the tzaddikim would do. So he goes on and says, line 28, end of line 28, we know on Rosh Hashanah, everything returns to its initial state. Not just the physical world, our world down here. We are reinvigorated with a new chayis because the chayis from last year expired and goes up. It's not just us, it is every single level throughout Seder Ishtalshlus returns to its initial source, because every level was created and brought into being for our sake, so it should be this world. So if his desire to create this world and his interest in creating this world needs to be renewed, and all the energy of this world is leaving, so it's not just this world, but Atzilus that was made for this world, and Kesed that was made for this world, and the Ratzon Hagoli before the Tzimtzum that was made for this world, and the Ratzon Machshava that were all brought into being so we should have our world. So all of these levels are expiring and returning to their source. All the levels leave and depart. Even the revelation before the Tzimtzum also leaves and also returns to its source within Hashem's essence. L'chein oimrim mama'kim karaatich b'toisefes mem. The Rebbe says a very interesting thing. We said the two levels, mamuk, are the rotzen hagoli and machshava v'rotzen, the lighter heskim, hechlet type of thing. The mama'kim, the extra letter mi, the from comes to tell you, not like you would think in the simple sense. Oh, from the rotzen hagoli and from the machshava v'rotzen, that's where we have to draw it down. No. What we draw down in Rosh Hashanah is mama'kim, meaning hainu b'chinas rotzen hamuchlet ba'atzmusi yisbarach shalamayla mikol in agiluyim, top of the last page. We are drawing down from, meaning the most deepest level. We need to draw down from Hashem's very essence. That's beyond all aspects of revelation. All of this is accomplished through the avodah of the neshamas of Yidden. Since the neshamas of Yidden are rooted in Hashem's essence, like we mentioned earlier, therefore they have their capability to draw down also from this level all the way up to Hashem's very essence, not just the rotzen hagolui, not just the heskem machshava v'rotzen. According to this will also be understood why it says calling. Seemingly calling indicates a very lesser level of revelation. It's only, or lesser effort. I'm just calling, like I call my friend to come over to me. There's other expressions of davening. Like we said, there's 10 expressions of davening. And yet he uses such a light expression of calling. Seemingly, calling indicates that there is practically no effort. But based on what we just now explained, that Yidden are mushrish all the way in Hashem's essence, now we understand why it's something as easy as calling. Since the neshamas of Yidden are rooted in Hashem's very essence, therefore they do not need any special effort. Also through calling alone, like a person calling his friend, which is not some major tachnun and begging and beseeching. We draw down from the innermost level, from Hashem's very essence. Like we said earlier, from Hashem's essence it comes down to the inner level of Hashem's delight. And from there it comes down to the inner level of Chachma Bina. And to the inner level of the emotions of Atzilus. To the inner level of Malchus, even down below in the inner parts of the world, like we mentioned at the beginning of the Maimer when we first said this, that the outer Chai is still here, or else we wouldn't exist. It's the inner Chayist, our inner excitement, the inner excitement of Hashem and energy and vitality, that's what leaves. And then on Rosh Hashanah, and also throughout the Seres Metshuva, we are returning it. The Ad, line 14, he says, until like he adds in the Maimer entitled to understand the idea of shofar blowing according to the intentions of Baal Shem Tov, that's brought down in the Siddur of the Middle Rebbe with Chassidus. This impacts also the external parts of the world. Don't think that since the external chayis of the world still remains in the world, because or else it won't exist, and the only thing we're drawing down from anew is the inner vitality, gishmak, tainug, the light, etc. in the world. So perhaps the external aspect of the world just go on the way it is. He says, no. This also affects and comes down the outer parts of the world. And this means, practically speaking, it should be written and sealed for good, for a good year and a sweet year, and a visible and revealed good, in a comfortable way of making a living and having children and life. All this is accomplished through avoid of the neshamas of Yidden. All your nation are tzaddikim, and this is especially so that Yidden are called tzaddikim. The way they are after the avoid of the night of Rosh Hashanah and the avoid of the day before Rosh Hashanah, the night of Rosh Hashanah. Through this we draw down everything that's drawn down of the 7th month, that it itself is satiated with many, many things are in the month of Tishrei, all the Yom Tovim, etc. And it also satiates all good for the rest of the year. In such a way that Hashem fulfills all the requests of every single Jewish man and woman and everything that's necessary from the material to the spiritual.